I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now and pay very close attention. Because what I am about to share with you in the next few minutes is something that I genuinely believe could add years, healthy, vibrant, pain-free years to your life. I have spent 32 years in oncology and integrative medicine. I have sat beside patients who were terrified, patients who were angry, patients who felt completely betrayed by their own bodies. And in all of that time, through all of those conversations and all of that research, I have never encountered a single food that has made me feel the way I feel about what we are discussing today, because this is not about a trend. This is not about a supplement someone is trying to sell you. This is about one ordinary food, something that has been eaten by human beings for thousands of years, that modern molecular biology has now confirmed can do something that billions of dollars of pharmaceutical research has struggled to replicate. It can alter the internal environment of your body so profoundly that cancer cells, the very cells that have stolen the lives of people we love, begin to struggle, starve, and die. And the inflammation that has been silently destroying your joints, your brain, your heart, and your immune system for years. This food can reach into the deepest biological machinery of your cells and turn that process off. Not mask it, not temporarily suppress it. Actually turn it off at the genetic level. Stay with me, because we are just getting started. My name is Dr. James Carter, and before we go any further, I want you to think about something personal for a moment. Think about the last time you felt truly well. Not just okay, not just managing, but genuinely, deeply, fully well. The way you felt in your 40s maybe, when you woke up with energy and your mind was sharp and your body felt like it belonged to you. For so many people watching this right now, that feeling has become a distant memory. Maybe you have been told your inflammation levels are high. Maybe you are dealing with chronic pain that your doctor has labeled as just arthritis. Maybe you have had a cancer scare, or you are watching someone you love fight a cancer diagnosis right now, and you feel helpless. Maybe you are simply exhausted, the kind of exhaustion that sleep does not fix, and no one has been able to explain why. If any of that is true for you, I want you to know with absolute sincerity that the information in this video was assembled with you specifically in mind, because you deserve more than management. You deserve answers. And today we are going to talk about one of the most powerful answers that nutritional science has ever uncovered. But before I tell you what this food is, I promise, I need to make sure you understand the enemy we are fighting. Because without understanding what chronic inflammation actually does inside the human body after 60, you cannot fully appreciate why this food is so extraordinary. Here is what most people, and frankly, many primary care physicians, do not fully grasp. Chronic systemic inflammation is not just a symptom of aging. It is an accelerant of aging. It is a biological process that, once activated and left unchecked, operates like a slow-burning fire inside every system of your body simultaneously. When researchers at the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine analyzed the blood markers of adults over 60 with chronic low-grade inflammation, they found elevated levels of molecules called pro-inflammatory cytokines, specifically interleukin-6, interleukin-1 beta, and tumor necrosis factor alpha. These molecules do not simply cause joint pain, they cross the blood-brain barrier and disrupt neurotransmitter production, which is why so many people with chronic inflammation also suffer from depression, anxiety, and cognitive fog that no one connects to their physical health. They interfere with insulin signaling, dramatically increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes. They damage the endothelial lining of blood vessels, setting the stage for heart attack and stroke. And perhaps most alarmingly, they create what the cancer biologists at the University of California, San Francisco have described as a pro-tumorigenic microenvironment, a biological landscape inside your body where cancer cells do not just survive, but actively thrive, multiply, and spread. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to make you understand what is at stake. Because the flip side of that science, the part the headlines rarely tell you, is that if chronic inflammation is the environment in which cancer grows, then reducing that inflammation changes the environment. And when you change the environment, you change what can survive in it. You take away cancer's home. You starve it of the conditions it needs. And that is precisely what the food we are about to discuss has been shown to do in peer-reviewed studies, in leading research institutions, in datasets involving thousands of human beings just like you. The food is broccoli. And I already anticipate what some of you are feeling right now. A flicker of recognition, maybe a touch of disappointment, because you have heard that broccoli is healthy your whole life, and it has never been explained to you in a way that made you truly understand why. So let me change that right now, because the science of what broccoli does inside the human body is so astonishing, so precisely targeted at the mechanisms of inflammation and cancer, that once you understand it at the molecular level, you will never look at this vegetable the same way again. The compound that makes broccoli one of the most studied anti-cancer foods in the history of nutritional science is called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is a sulfur-containing isothiocyanate that is formed when you chew or chop broccoli. At that moment, an enzyme called myrosinase converts a precursor compound called glucoraphanin into sulforaphane, and what is released into your body is a molecule of almost breathtaking biological intelligence. Within minutes of entering your bloodstream, sulforaphane does something that no pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory drug currently on the market can do. It activates a protein called NRF2, the nuclear factor erythroid 2-related factor 2, which functions as the master regulator of your body's own antioxidant and anti-inflammatory defense systems. When NRF2 is activated, it travels into the nucleus of your cells and switches on over 200 protective genes simultaneously. 200 genes that produce your body's most powerful internal antioxidants: glutathione, superoxide dismutase, catalase, in quantities that no supplement you can buy in a store can match, because these antioxidants are being manufactured inside your own cells, exactly where they are needed. This is not supplementation. This is activation. This is your body being reminded of its own extraordinary capacity to heal. Now let's talk about the cancer mechanism, because this is where the science becomes almost difficult to believe, except that it has been replicated in studies at Johns Hopkins, at the MD Anderson Cancer Center, at the Institute of Food Research in the United Kingdom, and at research institutions across 3 continents. Sulforaphane targets cancer cells through at least 4 distinct and simultaneous pathways. The first is through the suppression of histone deacetylase enzymes, HDACs, which are molecular switches that cancer cells hijack to silence your tumor suppressor genes. Your body already has genes whose entire purpose is to identify and destroy cancer cells before they become dangerous. HDAC enzymes, when overactive, place a chemical lock on those genes, essentially gagging your body's most important anti-cancer defense. Sulforaphane has been shown in studies published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences to inhibit HDAC activity, unlocking those tumor suppressor genes and allowing them to do what they were designed to do. The second pathway is apoptosis induction. Sulforaphane triggers the self-destruct mechanism in cancer cells, while leaving healthy cells completely unharmed. The third is anti-angiogenesis, just as we discussed in previous research contexts, sulforaphane disrupts the blood vessel formation that tumours require to grow and spread. And the fourth, perhaps most profound pathway is the direct suppression of NFKB, the same inflammatory master switch we have discussed, which cancer cells depend on not only for survival, but for their ability to invade surrounding tissue and metastasize to other parts of the body. Sulforaphane hits all four of these pathways simultaneously in every cell it reaches every single time you eat it. A landmark clinical study conducted at Johns Hopkins University, the institution where sulforaphane was first isolated and characterized by Dr. Paul Talalay in 1992, followed participants who consumed broccoli sprout extract daily and found measurable reductions in systemic inflammatory markers within 2 weeks. 2 weeks, not months, not years. 14 days of consistent consumption produced changes in blood chemistry that reflected a profound shift in the body's inflammatory state. And in a study published in the journal Cancer Prevention Research, men with recurrent prostate cancer who consumed powdered broccoli sprout extract showed significant decreases in PSA velocity, a marker of cancer progression, suggesting that sulforaphane was not merely theoretical in its anti-cancer effects, but measurably active in human bodies with active cancer. I want to introduce you to someone named Harold. Harold is 73 years old, a retired school teacher from Georgia, and when he first came to my clinic 4 years ago, he was carrying a diagnosis of chronic prostatitis, chronic inflammation of the prostate, along with PSA levels that his urologist was monitoring with increasing concern. Harold was also dealing with what he described as the worst joint pain of my life, primarily in his hips and lower back, and a depression so thick he said it felt like walking through wet concrete every single day. We implemented a comprehensive protocol centered on broccoli and broccoli sprouts, combined with specific synergy foods I am going to detail for you in a moment. At Harold's 6-month follow-up, his inflammatory markers had dropped significantly. His PSA levels had stabilized, and, perhaps most remarkably, his mood had transformed so completely that his wife called my office personally to tell me that the man I married came back. Harold told me with the quiet dignity of a man who had been through something real, "I stopped waiting to get worse. I started getting better." If you are someone who has been waiting to get worse, I want you to hear Harold's words today. Before we go further, I want to pause and connect with you directly. If you are watching this video, I want you to do something right now. Scroll down to the comment section and tell me your age and the one health challenge that is weighing on you most heavily today, whether it is inflammation, fatigue, a cancer concern, joint pain, brain fog, or something entirely different. Write it below. I read every single comment, and your story matters to me more than you know. And if this information is resonating with you, please take a moment to click the like button. It takes 1 second, and it helps this critical health information reach more seniors who desperately need it. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because I am about to share what I consider the single most powerful way to consume broccoli, a preparation method that increases sulforaphane bioavailability by over 10 times, and I do not want you to miss it. Stay with me. We are almost there. Now, I want to tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy is 67, and she was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer 2 years ago. She underwent surgery and radiation, exactly as her oncologist recommended, and I want to be very clear that she never deviated from her medical treatment plan. But Dorothy also wanted to fight from every angle available to her, and she became one of the most committed patients I have ever worked with when it came to nutritional oncology. She consumed broccoli sprouts daily followed the synergy protocol we will discuss, and integrated these habits so completely into her life that her oncology team, skeptical at first, began commenting at every follow-up that her recovery markers were unusually strong. At her 2-year all-clear appointment, her oncologist used a phrase that Dorothy repeated to me with tears streaming down her face. "Whatever you are doing outside this office, it is working." Dorothy told me afterward, "I felt like a participant in my own healing, not a victim, a fighter." That shift from victim to participant is something that this food and this knowledge can give you, and it is a gift beyond measure. Let's talk about the synergy combinations, because just as we saw with blueberries, the anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer power of broccoli multiplies dramatically when it is paired with the right cofactors. The first and most important synergy partner is mustard seed or mustard powder. This sounds almost too simple to be significant, but the science is extraordinary. Cooking broccoli destroys the myrosinase enzyme that converts glucoraphanin to sulforaphane, meaning that cooked broccoli, while still beneficial, delivers a fraction of the sulforaphane that raw broccoli does. But here is the discovery that changed everything. Adding just a small amount of mustard seed, which contains its own active myrosinase, to cooked broccoli completely restores sulforaphane production. A study from the University of Illinois found that adding daikon radish or mustard to cooked broccoli produced sulforaphane levels comparable to raw broccoli consumption. A half teaspoon of mustard powder added to your cooked broccoli after removing it from heat essentially solves the cooking problem entirely. This is actionable, immediate, and free. The second synergy partner is selenium-rich foods, particularly Brazil nuts or sardines. Selenium is a trace mineral that works in concert with sulforaphane to enhance the activation of glutathione peroxidase, one of the body's most powerful cellular antioxidants. Research published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that the combination of sulforaphane and selenium produced synergistic anti-cancer effects in human cell lines that were significantly greater than either compound alone. 1 Brazil nut per day, just one, provides your complete daily selenium requirement and adds a profound amplifying layer to everything broccoli is already doing. The third synergy partner is the one I consider the most revolutionary, and it is the secret I promised you. Broccoli sprouts. Not mature broccoli, sprouts. 3-day-old broccoli sprouts contain between 50 and 100 times the concentration of glucoraphanin as mature broccoli. This was the discovery that made Dr. Paul Talalay at Johns Hopkins describe broccoli sprouts as a particularly rich source of cancer chemoprotective agents in his landmark 1997 paper in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, a paper that set off a wave of research that continues to this day. You can grow broccoli sprouts at home in a mason jar with nothing more than broccoli seeds and water in 3 days for pennies per serving. You eat them raw, on salads, in smoothies, in sandwiches, and the amount of sulforaphane that enters your system from a single tablespoon of broccoli sprouts is greater than what you would get from an entire head of cooked broccoli. This is the secret. This is the thing that almost no one knows and almost no one is talking about on platforms like this. And now you know it. I want to introduce you to one more person before we close. His name is Vincent, and he is 79 years old. Vincent had been living with rheumatoid arthritis for over a decade, and when I met him, he had not been able to fully close his hand in 4 years. His inflammation markers, specifically his CRP and his erythrocyte sedimentation rate, were both severely elevated, and he had been through 3 different biologic medications, each of which had produced side effects serious enough to discontinue. Vincent was, by his own description, done trying. He had arrived at that terrible place that chronic illness takes so many people. A resignation that was not peace, but surrender. We started him on daily broccoli sprouts, the mustard seed synergy protocol, and 1 Brazil nut each morning. Within 8 weeks, Vincent called my office and said 5 words I will never forget. I closed my hand today. His CRP had dropped by over 60% at his 12-week blood draw. His rheumatologist, not a man given to dramatic statements, told Vincent he had never seen inflammatory markers fall that far that fast without medication. Vincent is now 79 and tends a garden. He told me recently, "I thought that part of my life was over." It wasn't. That is the message I want to leave you with today, and I want you to carry it with you long after this video ends. The narrative that our culture tells about aging, that it is simply a process of inevitable loss, of doors closing one by one, of the slow surrender of the things that make life feel worth living. That narrative is not just wrong, it is dangerous, because it stops people from trying. It stops people from believing that their biology is still responsive, still capable, still waiting for the right inputs. The science of sulforaphane, of NRF2 activation, of HDAC inhibition and tumor suppressor, gene reactivation, this science tells a completely different story. It tells the story of a body that never stops wanting to heal, a body that, given the right molecular signals, will respond with a vigour and an intelligence that can still, even now, astonish the people who study it for a living. You are not too old. Your cells are not past saving. The inflammation that has been burning inside you does not have to burn forever. And the cancer risk that hangs over so many people in our generation, a risk that feels like a shadow you cannot escape, can be actively, measurably, scientifically reduced by choices you make in your kitchen, starting today, starting tomorrow morning, starting with a jar of broccoli seeds and 3 days of patience. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Please share this video with someone you love who is fighting with their health, with their fear, with their sense of what is still possible for them. And please leave your age and your story in the comments below, because every person who watches this video is part of a community of people who refuse to give up, who refuse to accept that the best years are behind them, who understand, because the science now confirms it, that the human body is capable of extraordinary things, and that it is never ever too late to give it the chance to prove that. I am Dr. James Carter. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. Take care of yourselves. You are worth every single minute of this fight.